Ladies and gentlemen, we just wrapped up the live letter, summing up the second live letter going into patch 6.2, releasing August 23rd of 2022 for Final Fantasy XIV. I do first of all want to say thank you to all the incredible support. We just hit our August subscriber goal, so we'll have some bonus content for that as well over on Twitch. Thank you so much, especially thanks to Farmer Girl, Bookboy, and Ryder for doing an enormous amount of gifting early on in stream and earlier this month, which really helps make sure that a ton of people get to enjoy ad-free time over on Twitch. Twitch is less ads per hour than YouTube and stuff, but it doesn't pause what I'm saying, so I know that can be very frustrating, so I appreciate people making that possible. So let's jump in. The trailer is up. The trailer is incredible. It is beautiful. So be sure that you go watch the trailer over on the YouTube. It's available in all 4 languages. And first of all, we are going to jump right into what comes in every single patch. We've got MSQ, we've got side quest, time for Tataru to do some more stuff, time for Hildebrand to do some more stuff. If you haven't caught up with Hildebrand, get to it. It's a lot of content. You're going to need it for the relic content in the half patch. So you've got to get to it eventually. So you might as well get through the 6.15 stuff so that you're ready for 6.25. Which is probably in October. At the earliest, my guess is October 18th. They have not given a date on that. In the half patch, we'll also be getting our tribal quest. It's time for the Omicrons to learn to gather. We'll learn a little bit more about that as we go. But in the main patch, the big things with our MSQ is that we will be getting a new dungeon, the Fell Court of Troya, as well as a new trial and extreme on day 1. That is stuff all here on the 23rd. We will also be jumping into Pandemonium, and Pandemonium Savage will be delayed by 1 week, so that puts that out at the 30th. And so everybody can enjoy the patch, take their time, and then jump into Savage right on time. And so that's a big difference. They did not reveal the name of that trial because it is tied to MSQ. They are aware that this means that like people are going to have tomes and all that stuff. They just said, hey, let's just try this 1 week delay thing without messing with everything, and then based on feedback, we'll decide if that needs to affect tome rates or if this 1 week thing needs to change or change back or whatever. So be sure to offer lots of feedback on what you like about this, what you wish could be adjusted still, and we will get into that. With these new raids, it's also time for our Unreal trial to swap out from Ultima to Sephiroth. Which I think will be harder. So if you're looking to get an Unreal for the first time, I would clear that before the 23rd, so that when that swaps to Sephiroth, you're kind of prepared for that. And as we continue to update current MSQ, it is time to look backwards. Duty support is now expanding. It's available for all of ARR right now. Base ARR, it's time to go all the way through, and we are adding no longer just base ARR, but also the 4-man MSQ tied to 3.0. So Snowcloak, Keeper of Lake, Sawmall area, and the Vault. Remember, this is not optional dungeons, things like Dusk Vigil. And we are going to head and saying that Steps of Faith coming up in Trial Roulette wasn't really the optimal experience. Let's go ahead and just remove that as a trial altogether and make that a solo quest battle, kind of like Cape Westwind, but we're not getting a trial like we got Porta Decumana. So it is reducing the total number of trials in the game by 1 here. It is also time to go back and revamp Thorn March normal because King Mugamog was acting as a bit of a gate for some new players. Since that's going to a solo duty, you see kind of who we're questing with here, and that's really, really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what that kind of lands with as they continue to make better new player experience choices here. We are getting some job adjustments and PvP adjustments. We'll be seeing a lot of that in the patch notes. They don't announce that stuff as early now because it just got a lot of hate. People got really upset about, oh my gosh, my job is ruined. It didn't really seem to come out ahead. And so I think announcing it closer to the actual content lets us be a little more contextual. But, you know, I like when they tell us the intent, which they're going to try to be better about moving forward, telling us the intent of the changes. We're also getting Island Sanctuary on patch day, but we will be getting Variant and Criterion dungeons during the half patch with that Gathering Tribe and the beginning of the Relic series. Adventure plates. These were originally designed for PvP, but they've been originally in a beta, but it's time for them to move into a more official feature within the game. As they go into being an official feature in the game, that does mean that other portrait data created during the beta would be lost. They are looking to make portraits linked to an adventure plate or gear set to remain intact. So that's a departure. Last time it sounded like we were losing everything. Now it says, please tie these to your adventure plate, otherwise they will be lost. So that's exciting. We are moving into our new tombstone of causality. Looks like casuality as we invite more people into Savage than ever before because of some loot we'll see here in a second. It is time for new crafted gear to be added, and it is time for people to not feel that they need to craft if they don't want to, so the ability to request repairs from other players, both in or out of duty, is now being added. If you are somebody who likes to use the menus to kind of help lay out your bars, there is an additional actions list layout that will show abilities not in the order they unlock necessarily, but in their combat sequence display. And we are continuing to prep for the graphics updates. This is going to be a slow, iterative process. They are now going to be doing implementation for your GPU to be able to focus on, do you want to focus on frame rate or resolution if it's ever in a position where it has to choose. So dynamic resolution will be added in its beta version to all the platforms except for Mac. I assume that has to do with kind of their integrated chips and stuff. If it's just maybe with the M1, it just can't work on that because the GPU works a lot different over on Mac. This will adjust the resolution of 3D graphics, and you'll have to enable in settings if you want to prioritize frame rate over resolution. So the default will not be there if that is something that you would like. Now with job adjustments, the one thing they will say about it is that there are no major overhauls, minor adjustments to several jobs, and that the intentions behind job adjustments will be explained. They would like to be better about releasing these on the patch notes and the job guides, and they want to start explaining why they did what they did. Now, with crit and direct hit, there is an idea that if an action guarantees a crit or direct hit, there is no buff there is no benefit to having a buff or debuff or stat or anything that increases crit and direct hit rates. So moving forward, all actions that guarantee it will just inflict more damage as a result of such buffs. Obviously, if it didn't affect it before, it's not going to change anything for it now. As we look beyond that into PvP, keep in mind that there will be some adjustments to PvP actions, and we will be getting Rival Wings back, going to the Hidden Gorge. And PvP Series 2, this is bigger than the season, is beginning. This will run until patch 6.3. Season 3 is also beginning, but we'll talk about that in a second. The rewards from Series 1 will be available to be claimed until the end of Series 2, so it's not like if you hit rank 25 and then go to bed and you forget to claim and you wake up the next morning, it's not gone. And the rewards will be update and experience reset. They did say previously that the Series 1 rewards would be purchasable with those little tomes during the duration of Series 2, and then we don't know what happens after that. But on to Season 3. Season 3 of Crystalline Conflict. Before, what happened is you progressed up, and if people progressed up really early on in the season, they just stayed there forever. Now it is time to let those people be demoted. So this is your season. This is your ranked Crystalline Conflict, as opposed to your series is tied to all PvP. Everything you do in PvP is a series, and then Crystalline Conflict ranked is a season. So I know that can be a little bit confusing, but as you rank down, people might say, well, am I going to start over? No, you are not. You're going to go down to the top of the previous rank, so you could get it back very, very quickly, and you will get... we're going to start people at the bottom, so they have to work their way up, and at the end of the season, the final rankings will be determined by the highest tier or crystal credit score that you achieve during a season, not where you are when the end of the season snapshots on you. So this means that this will allow them to do new enhanced matching. They are going to start putting stricter penalties on you if you withdraw mid-duty, and they can go ahead and offer all these rewards still, portrait elements, achievements, titles, and you will get it for all tiers up to and including the highest tier that you got during that season. So, as we look at some miscellaneous updates, rare materials and added to ethereal reductions, because it's time to add more materials and stuff. It's time to continue messing with that because we're messing with crafters and gatherers again. Your glamour dresser is jumping from 400 to 800, and we are going to make some adjustments to the order of certain Return to Ivalice quests because they don't make sense in the context of the way some of the other changes are rolling out. As we went further, it was time to start showing gameplay. So the gameplay here this is our new raid boss. I assume this is the first one. This is Proto Carbuncle. They said this is what carbuncles used to look like, but they were too scary, so they locked them away in Pandemonium and made a cuter one for us to run around with. You can see the floor here has diagonals and stuff, so when he engaged some of the mechanics, you can see that that's starting to kind of help you think diagonally. We'll see what all that looks like. Looks like the spikes on the outside will kill you. And that is going to take us into gearing. The crafted set they did show off basically all of. It's absolutely stunning. These are all over on the Reddit Discord in the translations tab. I really liked, I thought the Reaper Scythe was awesome. I thought that a lot of the gear was really pretty. Gunbreaker, I think, was a big winner here in my opinion. But these are all absolutely beautiful. We'll see what that looks like. But what might get you guys into Savage is that they are saying this seems to be translated as this is the new raid gear. So this is absolutely nuts looking. Up until now, you've had to do relics or ultimates to really get anything that kind of compares with that visually. So that's going to make people want a lot more gear from Abyssos, from Pandemonium. And so they are saying Abyssos Mythos exchange rate for head, hands, and feet is going to decrease from 6 to 4 copies. So that should help people gear up more characters, as I assume people are going to want to gear up anything that they want to look just absolutely that awesome. I don't know. They really didn't go over this much. You can see very little talking here. They just kind of like, oh yeah, and some stuff glows incredibly. Is that something you guys are interested in? And just moved on. Omicrons. Finally using this part of the world that we weren't really using. This is going to flesh out as you level. So if the new players pass through this area for any given reason, they won't necessarily see all the NPCs you see. And we are going to be working with the Omicrons to gather it. You will not have to fly all the way over to this point. There is an NPC to teleport you over to the tribal quest. As a reminder, we're no longer calling them beast tribes, we're calling them tribal quests. And they did show us off the mount. It's this little space jellyfish here. So kind of like the level catcher, but a little bit different. So I look forward to getting into that. Now let's talk about Island Sanctuary. Island Sanctuary here. We're going to start on this area they said unlocks a lot later. And we're going to start on this little Mandragora. And we're going to leap off and we're going to fly down, showing just how big this area is. And we're going to get down to this beach here. This beach is what you're going to start at. So as we fly down, we'll get down to the beach. And this is where you're going to be told, this is your island. This is yours. You may have this. And you are going to go through like a 2 or 2.5 hour tutorial unlocking features, and you're going to slowly get to do the different things. The first thing you're going to come across is you're going to open up this little UI, and you're going to notice you can't do everything yet as you go through your tutorial, and you're going to need to gather. This does not build off the existing gathering system. You're going to have a different gathering log, separate gathering tools. Your gathering level doesn't matter, so it doesn't matter if you've done a lot of it or none of it, and the things you gather here will be stored in their own inventory, so they're not going to clog up your inventory because you have a material pouch to store your sanctuary things. After you're done gathering a bunch of stuff out here, chopping some logs or whatever, you'll be able to come back and you'll be able to start doing building different tools, building different buildings, using these different materials as you progress through this quest. Not building off your existing crafting, it is totally independent in every way. Eventually you will build yourself a little hut. They've shown this hut off in some screenshots before. It turns out we built this ourselves, and you will be ranking up your island, gathering items, and building things to give yourself experience. As you move further and further into this, you'll be getting this special currency called scripts, and they're going to be trading that in for glams and mounts. They showed off some of those glams. This Hrothgar here could wear the hat. None of these are gender locked, so you've got a lot of options here. I'm sure people will engage with that, as well as just a whole other loot system. As they scroll down, this did have like dyes and materia and all of that. So as you progress through these different portions, you're going to get into farming, and you're also going to get into ranching. So you're going to go out and you're going to capture animals. They captured a monkey, and they trapped this monkey in here. I don't know what the ethical concerns of this are, and you can interact with them, get items from them, make more of them, nickname them, and you're going to be able to release your own minions over this island. So we don't really know what all of that looks like, but as you develop, you're going to be able to develop more land, chop down the forest to make room for more development, and you're going to be able to kind of progress this map as you go. So they don't have enough time to cover everything, but this kind of gets you an entry point, and it's all about exploring and just spending time here hanging out. You're going to be able to gather, plant, care for animals, but also deal with landscaping, building, selling different things you've made, and you're going to be able to release your minions, earn rewards, and just explore in general. So very, very casual content. Might not be for everybody, but just talked about Savage. We talked about MSQ. That's pretty casual content. Then we talked about Savage, a little less casual. Talked about Island, extremely casual. Now let's get into these new special dungeons. The first of the special dungeon types is called Variant. This is going to be casual content, doable in 1 to 4 players, can be match made, no role restrictions, job changes permitted, the enemy strength will be determined by your party size, and you will have a different set of routes you can progress through. We're going into the Sildine subterrane. Make sure you do your Hildy story if you want to know what the Sildine is what's going on with the Sildine. And also, ideally, remember everything you learned in ARR from main and side quests. Long time ago. How could you have forgotten? As we explore the depths, we're going to be exploring alongside Nanamo. They did reveal that. And you're going to get a different story based on the path you choose. You will get to choose these different variant abilities, such as Cure and Raise. Different roles will have different things available to them. And you'll kind of progress through in this special duty menu. You're going through with Nanamo. And this is the new UI for the special duty menu. So it's a little bit different. You will be able to match mate for these, and you will be able to unlock these different endings. So it looks like there's going to be 12 endings as you go through this. So you'll need to replay it, but each one only has 2 bosses. It's meant to be something you kind of explore. And if there's multiple people in there, you kind of choose a path by like voting on it. So they showed off a little bit of it. Here's that kind of voting system. Don't know what happens if there's a tie. Nanamo is going to make some suggestions. She's going to chat with you, very duty support-esque. And as you progress through each of these 2 bosses, there will be all sorts of different little trash to take. There will be different loot. He didn't open any of it, so we don't know what all that includes. Is that more like Palace of the Dead style, or is it a more typical dungeon? The bosses may be reskinned, so you may see the same boss model used over and over, but they'll sometimes have different mechanics. So it should make it feel very fresh as you explore it multiple times. And so you'll be able to progress through this. You will not require a tank killer. You could be with all DPS, so it's very like Delibram-esque in that way. There are things like they showed off this kind of like space hamster flying mount. That is one of the bosses. And so that is the basis of this system. As we move up in difficulty, we move to the Criterion dungeons. This is going to be a standard party comp is what's recommended. 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. If you match make into this, that's what it's going to be trying to fill you up to. Visually very similar, but structured totally different. And that is first and foremost because we're not in Sildine Subterrane, we're in another Sildine Subterrane. And the difficulty will be provided right here. So normal methods of resurrection, such as healers and red mages, are prohibited. Each player will be granted a limited use of variant Raise 2. Other variant actions will be unavailable. Every time you guys wipe, enemies will stay dead, and you just push through, can be supplemented via matchmaking. If you want to go to the hardest difficulty, we are now in Savage, another Sildine Subterrane Savage, and this will be preformed only, no form of resurrection. If you wipe, everything comes back, and if you take too long, enemies become stronger, giving them an echo of sorts. So this is all done through your special dungeon finder, and remember, Savage is pre-made only. So real quick, he had to make himself invincible to take us through that. And he did note that the patrolling mobs are very dangerous. You cannot ignore them. You must beat all monsters to get the boss on the floor. As you take on these monsters, you might focus them down in different orders or pull them in different orders because you're going to need to think about what mechanics overlap them so you don't wipe yourself and bring everything back to life in Savage. Worth practicing in non-Savage. And it's all the same kind of bosses and stuff, so they're kind of reusing all the skins, just making it harder. The goal is for normal mode to feel like Savage, and make Savage much harder, aimed at people who are already clear of the current Savage, the 6.2 Savage, and are ready to bring in the really good gear that comes with that. The fights will be shorter than any 8-man. There's only 2 of them per run, and the pace is faster. So you should be able to kind of just push through this. He showed off a couple mechanics, seemed nice and fast-paced, looked really fun. He was in God mode, so it's hard to say for sure. There are, of course, new housing items for your non-island housing. Those of you that have been lucky enough to win a lottery by now, we've got the straw bed, a bunch of portraits we can hang on the wall of our favorite scions, and a tent. So it is time to then move into the QVC portion of things. they are doing a third Eorzean archive, or Eorzean Symphony, pairing with Final Fantasy XIV. These will be, unfortunately, it looks like in Japan only. They have traveled before with this Eorzean archive, so it'd be neat to travel them because they're getting an Elpis flower, and I'd love to go to that. That sounds like it would be absolutely incredible. There is in PAX, October 7th through the 9th, PAX Australia. They will be there, which is interesting because if we scroll down, they're doing a 14-hour broadcast, the 8th one of those, on the 8th of that month. So it looks like that might be... looks like that might be something that we can enjoy. It says 8/14. They got 8th 14-hour broadcast. So that looked like that was during that. And then they've got the patch notes reading, of course, coming up. And they have an upcoming event this following week. We will have an upcoming event going on our stream as well, just to shout that out. Time to start talking about, see Twitch, see a variety of favorite farmyard animals, pairing with a farm in London. We'll be doing something kind of minion related as well. And they sold off these jackets. This basically crashed the internet, so if you're just now seeing this, good luck getting one. They looked really awesome. If you read Japanese and you didn't want the digital Unending Journey for Realm Reborn, Heaven's Word, and Stormblood, now there is a digital version available. The complete edition going on sale for any of you free trial players or have a friend who wants to stop in. This is only for PlayStation, Windows, and Mac. So keep in mind that Steam sales tend to run a little more in line with other Steam sales. And if any of you want to work on 14, they are looking for scenario. This is like this is quest writing. This is content like battle system designing, and this is live system things like Island Sanctuary. They are also looking for Japanese to English translators and Japanese to German translators if you are interested and capable of that. They've got a couple of reminders that there are lodestone updates on Crystalline Conflict, as well as the fact that the NA data center expansion had to be delayed. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is a 3.5-hour live letter in 22 minutes. That is the statistical time that people always say we ramble for, so it must be time to be done rambling. Thank you again for all of you hanging out on stream. A huge thanks to the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit community for offering these translations. Absolutely incredible that they do this. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in patch 6.2, if not sooner.